Hey everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Flower Friday. Today we're going to be making this little gem. If you just watched my haul video, you'll see that I picked up some of this fabric at the thrift store today, and I couldn't really decide if I wanted to use this fabric, which is the one that I picked up here, or use, oh, there's a bug. I hate those little orange bugs. They're everywhere. Those little things that look like ladybugs, but they're actually some kind of beetle or something. Ugh. If you live in the Midwest, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so I made this rose, and what it is, it's really made just like I make my ribbon roses, but I've made it out of fabric. So I'm going to show you how to make this flower. But I'm going to use this fabric this time because I couldn't decide if I wanted to use that fabric or this one. So I'm going to make one out of both. And you know, this is just the starting point for this flower. Embellish it. Put a nice layer of lace behind it that's been ruffled. You know, put some trim behind it. Put some leaves. This is just the beginning. This is just the absolute base of this flower. You can do lots of other things with it. Put some pearl strands on there. You know, anything you can think of will really embellish this flower and make it look really, really pretty. And just because I, have to do that, I just sparkled it with some of my glimmer. Okay, it needs to be a yard long, but only about 2 inches wide. Okay, so, and if it's not a yard long, that's okay. Your flower is just not going to be this big. It'll just be a smaller size flower if you don't have a yard long. So what I'm going to do is I've just folded and I do this all the time when I cut my fabric, when I have to cut it in strips, because it helps me kind of cut a straight, what is in here? A straight line, because I have issues with cutting a straight line. There's a little piece of glue under there. So what I do is I just fold it up, however many yards it is wide, because I just usually buy remnants, so sometimes they're not even a yard. But and then I fold it up, and then I just have to cut a short distance, so it helps me keep it in a straight line or semi-straight line. Okay, so I'm just going to cut me a piece off that's about 2 inches. I'm not going to measure. I'm just going to eyeball it. About 2 inches wide, and then I'm going to set the fabric aside. Okay, so now you have this big piece of fabric, okay? How am I going to make this out of this? Well, what we need to do first is we need to cover these edges. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what I do. I just fold them over and I'm going to hot glue them down. So I'm just going to take my hot glue gun and I'm just going to run a thin line, and I'm just going to fold this over and then press it down. You're not going to see this. I know this is kind of a sheer fabric, but you won't see this hot glue because it's going to be all twisted up anyway, so you're not going to see it. So if you're using a sheer fabric, as long as it's not completely see-through, it's going to be okay. So then I'm just going to run another line, and I'm just going to do that all the way across. Just going to glue this just like that, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to do this side. And while I'm doing this, I just want to talk about yesterday a little bit. Yesterday I was having issues with a die, and I posted a video and I got lots of good responses, and I want to thank everybody for trying to help me out. But nothing was working, and I kind of got a little irritated with Sizzix because I got a not a nasty response. It wasn't nasty in any means. It was just not a response that I wanted to get, I think. And I decided that I was going to email Tim Holtz, and I did. And he was kind enough to email me back and talk to me about it. And he did try his die with chipboard, the lamppost die, and he said it worked fine. So he said that I had a defective die, and he was gracious enough to mail me out a new die. So when I get that, I'm going to try it out and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, then I know it's my machine. Okay? I did respond to the customer service for Sizzix after they sent the message to me. And all it basically said is I posted it on the comments. If you want to go back and see it, you can. Just that, they didn't, that particular die, because of the intricate cuts, would not cut chipboard for whatever reason. Okay, well, that isn't what it says on the website, and I pointed that out to him. And I basically just said that I thought it was false advertising, and if they were to note that on their website, it might have influenced my decision to buy that dye or not. Well, I ended up getting to talk to the customer service supervisor, and her name is Jenny, and she was very, very nice. Very nice. And she came back and told me that they would replace my dye, and I emailed her back and I told her, well, and then she also said that she thought maybe it could be my machine because some of them in the past have been calibrated incorrectly, which would make it maybe push it hard, push down too hard on the dye so that the material would get stuck. And I kind of think that maybe that might be what's happening, but I don't know until I get the new dye. So I talked to Jenny and I emailed her back and I said, I'm really glad that you emailed me back. Thank you for taking the time to discuss this with me. And I told her that Tim had so graciously offered to send me a new dye. And she told me that, she thought it was great that he would send that dye to me, and that when I got it, if it didn't work out because for whatever reason, if it was still doing the same thing, that I could just contact her and, we could get my machine replaced. Because my machine is I bought it on August 18th, I think. So it's only a couple months old. So I wanted to let you guys know what happened and what the results were. And that Sizzix customer service really, the girl that I talked to, the manager, she really stepped it up and, apologized and said that she was sorry that the dye didn't work and things like that. So, I appreciate that kind of customer service, even being able to come back and, say to an angry customer that, you apologize that, what happened, wasn't what was supposed to happen. So anyway, that being said, the dyes should cut chipboard, okay? Because it states on their website that it should cut chipboard. I understand that, some of the dyes have intricate cuts, but then if the intricate dyes are, can't cut chipboard, which I'm sure they're tested for, positive they are, they have to be, then they shouldn't list that on the website. And that's my 2 cents. But I wanted to let you guys know that Tim was very, very nice and very personable. And I was so nervous because I was leaving. I had to leave for my daughter's volleyball game yesterday, which they won, and they're regional champs, by the way. And they play, I think, next Saturday again. But I had to leave because he wanted to Skype so he could show me, that his worked. So I was like reading it in the car and I'm like, oh my God, Tim Holt said he would Skype with me. I about died. Anyway, so that's my story. But I wasn't home, so I couldn't Skype with him. This is me with my sad face. Okay, so back to the flower. All right, so we've got our little folded up ribbon looking tape, basically is what it is, of fabric. Okay, all I did was fold both sides over, glue them, and fold it over flat. All right, so now I'm just going to make this the exact same way that I would make a ribbon rose. And if you go back in my archives, in my videos past, and I think it's even a Flower Friday, you'll see a video for a ribbon rose, but I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do that again, because I know when I did that video, my lighting was a lot different. So we're going to go ahead and try it again. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to take the end of your fabric or your ribbon, interchangeable here. So if I say ribbon, I mean fabric. If I say fabric, I mean ribbon. Okay, and you're just going to give that bottom, you're going to fold it down 90 degrees. Okay, so you're going to take it, you're going to be holding it like this, and you're going to fold it down 90 degrees. Okay, that's all you're going to do. And then you're just going to twist this, okay, just so you get a nice tight little bud. And then hot glue. And I don't know if any of you guys watched Jules, the Jewel Box's video on the things that she's carrying in her shop, the hot glue helpers. Oh, they looked amazing. And I mean, my hands are pretty worn out, I guess. I calloused maybe, I don't know, to the hot glue. It doesn't really bother me. But I will say that those tools really interested me, and I am definitely going to look into getting them. So if you haven't seen that video, I'll link it below so that you can go watch her video, because she has like a little review on them, so you can see if it's something that you want to have or not. Okay, so now you have your little bud, okay, and you've got it hot glued. Okay, so now you're holding the ribbon. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to hold the ribbon string here with my right hand, and I'm going to hold the flower in my left hand. All right, so now in the first few rows or wraps that we're going to do, we're going to hot glue more than we will on the outside. That's because you want to get a nice stable base for your flower. Okay, so what you're going to do here is we're going to fold the ribbon down again 90 degrees, and then we're just going to turn it, okay, and see how it creates that little curl right there that makes it look like a petal. Okay, and I'm going to hot glue right here. All right, now once your fold runs out and you get back to where you have the full width of ribbon, you're going to fold it down again. Okay, and it doesn't have to be perfect, just fold it down again. And then you're going to, again, turn it until all of your fold is gone. And then we're going to hot glue and just twist that up. And then we're going to fold and roll. That's the whole gist of this flower. You're folding and rolling, or folding and turning, whatever you want to say. Okay, so fold it down and turn. And then fold it down and turn. Okay, once you're past the first few turns, you can hot glue just every couple times. Okay, now fold and turn. Fold and turn. Fold and turn. Now, here is a tip for you, and this is pretty important if you want to create a flat flower, okay, or a flattish looking flower. You have to, when you're turning, start moving the fabric up the side, okay, and I'll show you what I mean. See how it's kind of like a little bit taller here than it was here? We want to create that depth, but we want to also keep this flower flat. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold and roll and fold and roll, and I'm just lifting it up. So as you can see where my bottom was, it was right here, but now it's right here. I've just turned it up about 1/4 of an inch. And this is important if you don't want a really tall flower, which if you're going to put this on a project, you really don't. Okay, so then I'm going to fold and turn, and each time I'm just lifting it just a little bit to create that flatter rose. And now I'm gluing about every second or third time, just whenever you feel it start to get a little bit loose. So you're going to fold down and turn. Fold down and turn. Fold down and turn. Okay. Fold down and turn, fold down and turn. That's the basis of this entire flower. It's just folding and turning. I know a lot of people get intimidated by doing this flower, but honestly, once you get the hang of it, and I'm not saying it's not hard to get the hang of it, because it is, but once you get the hang of it, you'll be like, wow, this is so easy, and it creates such a beautiful flower. Okay, fold and turn and fold and turn. That's all we're doing. You're going to get sick of me saying that. But it's the truth. Just keep folding and turning. And then glue. Now, some people who do these don't glue. They just do the whole thing and then they sew through the bottom. Hey, more power to them. If they can hold that whole flower in their hand without it unraveling, good for them. I can't. I guess I am just not that talented. Okay, and I just want to give you guys a look at the bottom. See how it's like fold. You can see the folds and turns, and then you can see underneath, you can see where all of those layers are. Okay, hopefully that's coming up on the camera. Okay, so then we're folding and turning, and we're coming to the end here, so we're almost done. And you're not going to see the bottom, so don't worry about the glue on the bottom. Now see how that's kind of flappy there? I don't like that, so I'm going to glue that down. I don't like that at all. I don't like any flappy flowers. And we're going to trim this up right here too, because I don't really like how that looks either. So you can trim this after you get it all done. So let's finish this one off. We'll do another turn and another fold. And I think, yeah, we'll glue it here. Okay. Now, when you come to the end and you don't have any place left, I'm going to put a little bit of glue right there because that's kind of flappy. Okay. So when you come to the end and you don't have enough to do another fold, what you're going to do is you're just going to fold it under. Where you would normally fold it, you're going to fold it down to the bottom. You want to give it a good batch of hot glue right there, okay, because that's your little bit of support for the flower. Okay, so now, actually, you know what, that's not. I need to just curve that right there, I think. You just kind of want to look at your flower and see where that needs to be turned down. Right there. Okay. All right, so now this is what our flower looks like on the top. Okay. Really shabby. This would look really good if it was tea-dyed. I just thought about that. I wonder if I have any. I don't think I have any tea-dyed spray. Boy, I need to make some of that. Yes, I do. I need to make some tea-dyed colored spray. Okay, so anyway, if you think about it beforehand, you're using a light fabric tea dye it. Wow, would that look good? Dang it, I wish I thought about that before. Okay, so anyway, what you're going to do to complete the flower is you're going to cut this off now, this little hump here, because you want your flower to be flat if you're going to use it on a project. Okay, and I'm just going to cut out a circle out of just scrap cardstock. Okay, now if you've done a good job gluing, you don't have to worry about it when you do this. It's all going to stay together for you. You don't have to worry that it's going to come apart or anything. Now with your loose end here, I'm just going to cover that up with my piece of paper, and now you're gotta use quite a bit of hot glue here. Okay, so don't be stingy with it. And I'm just going to cover it up with this little circle. And then I'm going to flip it over and we're going to make any adjustments we need. Like, see right here, I just want to, because there's just that little piece of fabric that's kind of, that little piece of frayed piece right there. I don't like that. So I'm going to snip that away so you can't see it. And then if you have any little pieces of threads, because this particular fabric looks like it's frays pretty good, I'm just going to cut them off. And then, boy, I wish I would have tea-dyed this. This would look so pretty tea-dyed. Dang it. I'm going to find something to tea-dye this with still. Now, okay, so now our rose is done. Okay, so we've got this fabric rose here. This one was a little bit bigger. So you have this fabric rose. Now, think of if you did 3 of these, 2 smaller and 1 this size, and you were doing like a really kind of vintagey, shabby chic box. Think of how pretty this would look on the front with some lace around the back. Like, let me see if I can find some lace that I would want to put on the back there. You know, I just got this lace today. I wonder how this would look. You know, if you were just going to kind of ruffle it behind, this one I don't think is going to be the right. You know, we need a, you know what you need? You need a gathered lace. You need an already gathered up lace or trim for that matter. Okay. And you could just go through and glue that on the back. See how pretty that would look? Okay, yeah. I would really like that. Okay, so you've got that flower just like this, okay? So you've used something like this for the trim on the back. And then what if you came in with some pearl strands, okay, and maybe a few white or vintage like tea-dyed leaves? How pretty would that be? I can totally envision this right on a box. Can't you? Oh, I really, really see that happening. I'm definitely going to make it like that. Okay, so that is your Flower Friday for this week. This is a ribbon rose made out of fabric. All right, everybody, I hope you have a great weekend. I'm sure I'll see you sometime this weekend in a video because I don't have any games to go to this weekend. I am so happy. I have the entire weekend to do whatever I want. And you know what? I think I'm going to get some crafting done. All right, we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.